We'll just wait a moment for
Sure.
our guests to come on. The transition of the weather is, I can feel it now.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. It's been a really hot couple of days.
I know, and we're lucky for that. September usually.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We have our guests arriving. So we're going to begin. It is Wellness Wednesday, and it happens to be Wednesday.
Which
We
is
landed
awesome.
on Wednesday. Welcome, everyone, and this is my beautiful friend, Ranbir.
Hello.
And so before we begin, I will introduce my guest. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We'll just keep welcoming our friends on. Ranbir and I first met at a function where I remember there were some family members and mutual friends.
Yeah.
It was a charity function on Mother's Day.
On Mother's Day.
Yep. And I specifically do remember meeting you, Ranbir. Second time we met was years later through COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I was teaching Pilates on Zoom. And I remember the class as well. I had a chair as a ballet bar.
And it was
right?
the best because I've done a lot of reformer classes and I couldn't believe how it felt just like that.
I love it.
Yeah, it was so good.
I know. And I met you through the screen then, and then we continued being friends through the screen.
Yeah.
All these years later.
Yeah.
Sharing funny reels and right? And like-mindedness on life and wellness. So Ranbir is a licensed clinical hypnotherapist, life strategies coach, biofeedback specialist, TEDx speaker, and creator of the Today I Practice app, which is very cool. I want to ask you more about that.
Absolutely.
So in 2009, Ranbir started her practice, creating safety in the nervous system. She helps people move from stress and self-doubt into clarity and calm.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Ranbir.
Thank you. What an honor. It's so fun and exciting.
Yeah, it is.
And women together.
Community.
Community.
That is what
So
it
good.
feels right now is community.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's start with our questions, and we have so many questions. I feel like Ranbir is going to be another second, third guester, and let's see how far we get. So you started your career in 2009 in crisis management.
Right.
What did that experience teach you about people and stress, and how did it inspire you to create this proactive solution?
Right. What's interesting is that so many of us have underlying issues, underlying stories, patterns, and programs, and we tend not to deal with them because they're not a roadblock, and often we wait for the roadblock. And the way our nervous system works, our inner guidance system works, is first it'll whisper, then it'll knock on the door, then it will knock down the door, and sometimes it burns down the house. So like it actually tries to let us know this needs to be addressed, this needs to be addressed. And so in helping people go back and rebuild, which is possible, we can always repair a cracked foundation. It's very possible.
Yes.
There's that Japanese concept called kintsugi, where we fill the cracks with gold and make something even more beautiful. I've written about that in the past. And in doing so, what I recognized is the way my brain works. I'm quite creative, but I'm also very analytical, and I started to notice the pattern.
Okay.
And there was a pattern that led back to childhood. And the great thing about understanding that, and it's very well documented now, but back then it wasn't as much of a conversation about what the program from childhood might be instilling in us today as adults, right? Because we're only focused on that 5% of our conscious mind. There's so much going on underneath the surface that we are not aware of. And my philosophy is we would want to go into the victor state, not the victim state. Mm-hmm. And much of what I kept seeing was, enhancing the victim state. You're not able to look at your bank account or your scale or whatever. Don't look. Don't. It's too much for you.
Yeah.
And that erodes that confidence. So in doing that, I found the pattern, and it led to childhood. So I created some children's programs and do a lot of intergenerational work, because it's important to equip our kids with solutions early.
Absolutely.
And
early meaning like how old?
well, generally when they're in that preteen stage,
Yep.
because up until then they're pretty connected to goodness and
Right.
safety of parents, depending on how they're raised and where they're raised. But it's really good education to give them, especially when they're around 8, 9 years old. And now we're having to start earlier because their exposure is so much greater than even when my kids were growing up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you started it from your own childhood experience and your own...
Well, it actually started. My story is really funny and different. We haven't talked about this. It started with a conversation with a man I met in Maui, and we kept running into him, and I didn't know who he was when I first met him, and I just don't really know famous people. I'm kind of that girl that's in her own space, and it turned out to be Wayne Dyer. And so Wayne one time said to me in one of the conversations, "You have this ability and this gift, and you're making excuses and not sharing what you have abilities to do." And I thought, who are you to tell me?
Yeah. Wayne Dyer.
Wayne, I don't know you that, like, who are you? And that's how I started, hand on my heart.
Wow.
I'm that girl, like, if you tell me I can't, I'll show you I can. And I did. And I started writing.
You're amazing.
I started writing and coming up with these solutions, but it was literally from meditation to writing. So I meditated and I wrote. I wrote. So, and people...
Very relatable.
Yeah.
Yes.
So neat.
Amazing story. Okay, so you often talk about taking radical responsibility for self.
Mm-hmm.
What does that really mean?
Well, it comes back to the victim-victor thing, because I think our conditioning is that we should be eroding self-trust, because we need to look outside of ourselves for all sorts of things. And yes, we need support, and yes, we need guides, and yes, we need tools. I'm not denying that. But if we start to tune into self, because I had a real victim story growing up. Like, I wanted to blame the world for everything. And so once I actually met my husband, he was challenging me to start looking at what's my part in it. What's my part of the script? What's my part of the story? And then in looking and researching the human brain, it doesn't know the difference between what's real and imagined. And so if I can start scripting and taking responsibility for the script of my life, I am more in control. So I'm not looking to my husband or my children or my friends to make me happy. That starts with me. And as soon as we start saying that's your responsibility to make me happy, it's your responsibility to communicate with me this way, then we're basically saying, here, take my money. You own me. And I am such a free bird and love sovereignty that I realize I need that back.
Yeah.
And from a full cup, you can bask in the glow of the light that I create, but I don't need you to plug into me, and I don't need to plug into you.
Exactly.
Keeping your own sources of power.
And protect. It's protection too.
Well, protection, yes, but more actually coming into your whole self.
Yeah.
It's more amplification.
Yeah. And
because
freeing.
It's freeing.
It's freeing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, intuition?
Intuition. My definition of intuition is the ability to recognize patterns.
Yeah.
Right? So when we're quiet enough, we can start to see patterns. And there's also intuitive things come through neuroception, with my nervous system can read your nervous system. That's scientific. So there's so much about intuition that is left out there in the unknown that we can explore, but there's lots of science about it too.
So when we're quiet...
When we're quiet, we can hear.
We can hear it. Love it.
Yeah.
In your years of working with people,
Right.
what have you noticed is similar across all of your clients, no matter their background or history?
Well, one thing all humans have in common, which is a first principle, is the self-image, how you speak to yourself when you're alone with your thoughts. And so that is that concept of the self-trust and self-image. So when we can get quiet and audit what that inner dialogue actually is saying to us, then we can understand the script of the movie that we're living. And so there's an old Sufi saying that says, and it's supposed to be conversation between you and me, but I've applied it to me and me.
Yeah.
It says, when you speak, let your words pass through these three gates. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? And
Is it true?
Is it kind? Is it necessary? And when you start auditing your inner dialogue through those three gates, what you will notice, and especially for women, we say a lot of unnecessary things to ourselves, first and foremost.
That is not kind, that is not true, and that isn't necessary.
Yeah. And then we say a lot of unkind things to ourselves, and we definitely say untrue things. So when we start there, we can create congruence between our inner dialogue and our dialogue with the people we relate to. Then there's a flow. Correct.
Yes.
Then there's the vortex, counter vortex, you can connect.
So, with that question, yeah, and there's so much more you could say there.
Mm-hmm.
That is the similarity, is that we all
Have an inner dialogue.
have the inner dialogue.
Mm-hmm. And the self-image, and that self-image will dictate the trajectory of your life. A low self-image will dictate the trajectory of your life, and it's so important because it's that barometer. You need to know what that is. You need to, it's basically collecting data.
Yeah.
And when you have data, then you can make decisions.
I love this woman.
This is fun.
This is so fun. Are you having fun? I hope you're having fun. Okay. A big theme in your work is self-trust.
Yes.
I love this question. How do we start to build self-trust, especially when stress or old patterns keep pulling us away from that center point?
Absolutely. The reason I like to focus on self-trust and building self-trust is it's that inner relationship first and foremost. When we can rely on ourselves to show up for our workout, for our walk, for our reading, or whatever it is that we've decided we're going to do in the day, we can start, that's a slow building block. And when you start actually being able to keep appointments with yourself and audit your inner dialogue and ask yourself, is this how I would speak to my best friend? Is this how I would speak to my child? No, then correct it. And then you start trusting that you can count on you.
Yes.
You actually have the resources that are so incredible, and all you need is a guide to teach you how to tap into that. And much of it is this deep knowing you already have, and people have just told you to question it. So start building. I like working in that 24-hour and then plan for the day when you're starting out. So just plan for the day and try to start making small appointments first, because those are high level. That's not deep work.
No.
And then move towards the deeper work, like
Where you have to face yourself.
where you have to say, is that thought moving me towards freedom? Is that what I really want in my life? Or is that my inner critic trying to take me down this path and program that I don't want?
I also think that I had a question sent to me when I was interviewing myself.
Yeah.
And it was, Natasha, how do you stay motivated on very unmotivating days?
Right.
When we have too much dialogue within ourselves, you demotivate yourself.
Yes, of course.
So then I just don't overthink.
Yeah.
I might not feel as awesome as yesterday,
For sure.
but you still show up. And
that's important.
Yeah.
And there's a distinction to be made there. And you might have seen online, there's a graphic that's a really great graphic that says what people think consistency is, and you're pouring full cups every day. And what consistency is, one day you might have a full cup, and the next day might be a quarter cup, the next day might be half, but as long as you're pouring in consistently,
yes,
that's what matters. It is actually the smallest common denominator, right? And then we build from there.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful answer to that question. You teach the power of reframing.
Right.
How does reframing change the way we see challenges, and why is it such an important tool?
Reframing is a key part of what I do. because we're not trying to change the reality that's outside of you or that you're interacting with. What we're trying to do is adjust the filter, because most often the filter is actually quite foggy. And so one of the questions I have, and it's a really old post, is what I find people will ask is, why is this happening to me? Why? Oh gosh, it's so hard. And so I put up a question in I don't know how long ago that I have my clients put in their calendar, why is my life so great? And it's not a fake gratitude journal. Oh, I love my husband, the sun rose. No, when you ask your brain a question, it will go and search for an authentic answer. So you're authentically tuning in to what's happening that's real and true for you.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a great shift. It's a great reframe, because most of us are looking at lack because that's what the inner critic wants. But the inner champion says, why is my life so great? Let me tell you the ways that I love you. All of that kind of stuff. And then the other thing is, a simple question when you're in the middle of something thick and murky is, you can ask yourself, okay, this is happening for me. What am I going to gain from this?
Yeah.
And that's a really, simple old technique, but changing
Change
the question.
The way you look at things.
Yeah.
Wayne Dyer.
Yeah. And I haven't even read that much of his work. He was just my friend. But it's change the question, because the brain is a supercomputer and it will give you what you ask. It doesn't know the difference between a good question and a bad question. It doesn't know the difference between a good goal and a bad goal. Whatever you repeat is what you receive.
Did we listen and hear that? Whatever you repeat, you receive.
Yeah.
For someone watching right now who feels stuck,
Right.
in crisis mode, what's one step they can take today to shift towards resilience and long-term well-being?
Okay, I brought a little tool. So when we're stuck, it's really hard to, I'm going to yell a little louder. People are honking, it's great.
We're in New York.
We're in New York. People get stuck in the mind, and your fastest way out of being stuck is to get into the body. So if you have been through the mall, you'll see women walking around even doing this. That's called body drumming, and you can start by quite literally moving your hands up and down and doing some body drumming. That's a little pattern interrupt, but I'll explain what happens. If this is the nervous system, you could be in collapse, which is the freeze state, but we want to be kind of like this, like a little heartbeat. But what happens is, when we're overwhelmed, we sometimes are stuck, or sometimes we're so activated that everything is shaking and combusting. Oops, my toy is going to break. So what we want to do, instead of going from this to that and always that range, is using somatic practices or other bottom-up approaches to get out of the stuckness. So the coaching part of my work is what's called a top-down approach. I'm using 5% of your brain power to try to influence 95% of your systems.
Right.
But when someone is really truly stuck, I'll go into the bottom-up approaches, which is going into the subconscious, going into the body, going into using biofeedback tools to try to get the body to influence the conscious mind. So it's a shift the other way.
Yes.
And when we go bottom up, there's no preconceived notion of what should be. But when we go top down, we think it should be this, and this is what I want. And so this way you get actually more authentic Ranbir information coming up to my conscious mind. Like bottom up, the body holds so much wisdom. And so somatic practices, clinical hypnotherapy, all of those kind of things that'll help you create some space, and in that space you can hear the inner guidance system.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, so how are we doing for time?
We got 11 minutes.
Awesome. So we have some Instagram questions. We hope to get through all of them. Welcome everyone. For those I see, there's more friends joining. This is Ranbir, and we're in the thick of conversation. Yes. So Ranbir, clinical hypnotherapist.
Yeah.
Tell us more about hypnotherapy and how it can help with anxiety, and what are the benefits of hypnotherapy?
Sure. From a clinical hypnotherapy perspective, what we're doing is safely creating a space for you to give that monkey mind, as Buddhists will say, a banana, and we're able to, you're fully aware, you're not unconscious or asleep or any of that. That's not what this work is. That's stage hypnotherapy, a very, very different kind of thing, and most of it's entertainment, it's not even real. Mm-hmm. But in this work, what we do is we calm the critical mind and the conscious mind in order to communicate with the big self. And so we do that in a really simple way. Like I said, you're fully aware, in calming you in this place where your big self can answer, and then we can we can do internal family systems work in clinical hypnotherapy, which is parts work. So sometimes there's a part of you that's causing this issue.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's age regression. So there's a variety of different techniques within it. But if I can leave you with one thing that you can do outside of the clinical space of hypnotherapy, that usually takes a few sessions. It's not a one and done kind of system, because we build and build and build safety, and then eventually all of a sudden things change, and the results I've seen in my clients are pretty awesome. But when you think about the word anxiety, I'd like to give you a reframe for that. Because if you dig and dig and dig into the word anxiety and you look at it at its root, it really could be considered anticipation. And so when we say my anxiety, my this, you're making it your whole self versus a part of yourself. And so when you feel that anxiety and that anxiousness coming up in the body, ask yourself this question: what am I anticipating? Why am I anticipating this end result, which is probably negative, right?
Absolutely.
How can I prepare to be better equipped to handle what I'm anticipating? And then that takes it out of this mysterious monster land and puts it into your conscious awareness as anticipation, and it allows you to go at it from that perspective. So you can come in and do the deep work, but in the meantime use that reframe, because I created it for myself a long time ago, and I figured out how to get through it by understanding the energy of it as anticipation.
And it's such a big label.
Such a big label.
When you think of the word anxiety, even the person who asked the question, it feels like stressful.
For sure. Right
away asking it, it's huge.
And it's it can be potentially a chronic condition. And I like the idea of, if something is chronic, then you want to find the root cause of it. And the root cause of it is usually a story that you've got from an old program that is telling you to anticipate the worst result possible. It's different than something that's acute. When something is acute, of course, we handle it in immediate. But anxiety has become a chronic conversation now. And it again, try to hear the story it has for you of anticipation.
Awesome.
Thank you. Can I add one more thing to that?
Yeah,
sorry.
Please.
I used to have a great deal of anticipation, I'll call it, and I wrote about it. I wrote about it a long time ago. But the way I described it is that I also have a lot of energy. So left untamed, I'm like
she does have a lot of energy.
Right.
It's beautiful energy.
Thank you.
Full of it.
Left untamed, I'm like the wild horse. I would destroy everything in me and around me. But when I can learn to manage that energy, I'll win the race every time. I'm not competing against it, it's just a metaphor. But also keeping that in mind in regards to that sometimes people who are suffering from anxiety is that it is a buildup of creative energy or a buildup of unused resources.
Relatable.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Unused resources.
Yes. So ask yourself, how can you mine for it?
Without overdoing it.
No, it's
that's
simple
very
questions.
Easy.
Simple questions, simple questions about the anticipation piece.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you share more about, okay, so we're going into September.
Yes.
Some kids in the States have already started school.
For sure.
Here in BC, we start next week. The kids have anxiety
Yeah.
with around school,
Yeah.
well-being in the classroom.
Well, if you're a parent or teacher watching, the best way to start having these conversations is coming from that place of productivity. You know, using the same language you use, like, what are you anticipating if your kid's feeling anxious? You know, asking about what are you anticipating versus, oh, you're anxious, and going down that rabbit hole that takes power away. So try to reframe to give them power. And then the other thing you can do that's really simple is giving them body tools for student well-being. I have a lot of like I said, I worked intergenerationally, and there's tools that I give that are so simple that actually make a huge difference. And one boy took them to his classroom, and the teacher started doing it with the whole group. And what it is, and it's really simple, we can't stand up to do it, but what happens is the energy kind of gets stuck in the nervous system at the base of the tail of the nervous system. And this is what it would look like if it was healthy, right? So then we get stressed and it gets stuck here. And then we explode and it goes up like that, and then we get stressed again. It's kind of like what I showed you before. But if you do something simple, like you can do it with us right now. We can't do it, but you could do it. Stand on your tiptoes and drop your heels real hard into the ground, and then it starts to break up that nervous system energy a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. So you could quite literally do something that's cheap and cheerful. It's free. Heel drops, tiptoes, drop your heels.
So I do that in my practice.
Yeah.
I do the tapping in my practice.
Perfect.
This is Qigong.
Yeah. It's ancient. Ancient.
We start our practice, heel tapping,
yeah.
Resetting the
Perfect.
nervous system and the bones.
Perfect.
And it works. Wake up in the morning and just
Heel drop.
heel drop.
One of my clients, I prescribed her, the other tool I use is actually jumping jacks, because it tells your nervous system that you're not in danger, you're really big.
Yeah.
And also, one of the worst things I feel that can be, for myself, and everybody's different, is trying to do breath work when you're feeling anticipation up to here. So the good thing about jumping jacks is that they automatically get you into a good breath pattern, so you're not having to think about, I have to do this breath to get myself less anxious or whatever. So she laughed. She goes, I have to keep a bra next to my bed because you're making me do jumping jacks when I wake up, right? But something so simple solved such a big perceived problem.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're getting ready for well-being in the classroom, or well-being for your child that's going to the classroom, teach them these simple body-based tools so they can use their full resources, not just their conscious mind.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
We've got the slinky.
Yeah.
Visual.
Yep.
I don't think I can slinky still.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a question about biofeedback.
Sure.
What is it? And
Sure.
tell us more about it.
It's again one of those bottom-up approaches, because what happens is when we're trying to create change, we don't know necessarily all the stories that are going on underneath because we're not aware. Because, generally if we're aware, we'd want to change them. So I have different types of biofeedback tools. One's a nervous system retunement that's based on Dr. Stephen Porges's work and the polyvagal theory. So we're introducing sounds of safety to the inner ear muscles and bones, and it's passive. And it's body-based, so it's going to make an impact whether you like it or not. You could fight it as much as you want, but there's an impact there. I also use neurofeedback, and we can start, that is also something that can be done remotely. I've switched to a remote system, and we can do a brain map when we start the process, so you can kind of see what the brain waves look like, and it's very cool.
Very cool.
And then that's a brain retraining system, and it can help. I generally use the nervous system retunement first, unless somebody has active seizures. They're the only people that can't use that program. And I call that clearing high interest credit card debt off the nervous system. We clear the debt, and then we can build wealth by using I also am a certified heart math providers, so we can do your HRV,
Oh,
right? So they
yeah.
say in my culture, the longest distance in the world is from the head to the heart. And when we can get those in coherence, magic happens, right? Magic happens. So I use that as a tool, and then neurofeedback, again, it's a brain retraining,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have a lot of sensors. It has, you know, a headband and one sensor, the program I've switched to, and it's phenomenal.
Wow.
And so again, that's really helpful because it's like when, you know, when we introduce our kids to new foods,
Yeah.
you have to have it show up every day for it to be trustworthy. That's the same, and why biofeedback solutions are so powerful, because the ones I use in my practice are passive, and I use them every day, and then we build self-trust
Repetition and
through the trust. Oh, there's our 30 minutes. So
it's okay.
yeah, but that's how we build self-trust.
Right.
Is that safety is gonna sorry, I lost my voice. Safety is gonna show up every day.
For the local friends that want to do this,
Yeah.
maybe I can share on the post.
Sure. Yeah, they can reach out to me on Instagram or my website.
Yeah.
And I work internationally, so because and that's one of the reasons I switched to programs that can be done remotely, is I have clients all over the world, and
Yeah.
so it allows me to be able to connect with them remotely over Zoom. And it's a passive program, so you're not having to work hard to. That's the thing about when you're stressed and struggling or overwhelmed, is that what my goal is not to add more to that load. It's more to release some of the steam in the pressure cooker.
Yeah.
So we have space to build that trust.
And as my guest said last week, a small ounce, a low level of
Sure.
stress is healthy. for
Always.
us.
It's called eustress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're staying in that
it's-
low zone.
Yeah, it's good because it keeps us progressing.
Ranbir,
Amazing.
I think we could keep going.
Yes. Yeah.
I hope that you enjoyed this as much as I did. We're going to have Ranbir back.
Thank you. That was so great.
It was beautiful, and there's so much information all in one. Again, this is always such a pleasure. These Wellness Wednesday chats
Yeah.
are just so beautiful. And I spoke to a woman yesterday, as we were saying at the beginning, it's about building community.
Mhm.
I feel that now more than ever, just the feeling for me is building community
Yes.
is most rewarding
Absolutely.
in this space.
Yes, and people are lonely and hungry for that. When we grew up, I mean, we had community,
Yeah.
We had
yes.
community and-
real community,
and
physical.
physical, and
Yeah.
I thank you for building this community and bringing us together, because there's so much power when we move together.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I'll upload it very soon.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful day.